how do we get to this point in the sense where common sense would say you don't be on your phone in class? I mean, ideally.
I think we haven't set down the ground rules or instructed students on what is appropriate and what's not.
Okay.
How do you go ahead and teach social norms to somebody who's going to talk to somebody else when their default is I can do something else? When you give a student a cell phone or a digital device and it's early, they're going to go ahead and be more connected to it, which we see, right? It is part of a student's identity.
Right.
But there are times and place, especially in professional world, where, hey, we got to put that down. It's not acceptable at this point. We're teaching that skill to our students right now. I think what exacerbates it is that the notification settings is what goes off. When all of a sudden you're getting a notification from a text message, from a friend, from social media, from a like from somewhere else, and all of a sudden it racks up 300 in a class period.
Right.
Do you have the self-discipline to where you're not going to pull that phone out and take a look because it's like, oh, it'll just be a second, but then a second becomes more, and social media has already admitted the algorithms that they have are designed there to go ahead and make them addicted to what comes next.
Right.
So this is going to be showing students that yes, life does exist after social media. Life does exist without text message. Life does exist without technology. It is an aid that we should use, but it's not but we have to understand that it is only an aid and it's not something that should be a lifeline in permanence.
The way you guys want to teach about responsible phone usage, to call it. Back in the day, we used to have a DARE program. I think you know about this. Does it get to a point when where like classes have someone speak on what is? Does it get to a point where like you have people come in and talk about responsible social media and like how it can go wrong and how to kind of so they can gear it for success? And I'm kind of spitballing here a little bit, but I'm kind of thinking like, okay, well, if you get it reminds me so much of the don't do drugs type, the lessons that I learned back when I was in both New York and here, right? Where someone, oh, here's what happens when you do this. Oh, yeah, like you got like a former drug addict come in or something like that. Does it get to a point where you kind of do stuff like that?
I don't know if it's going to get to the point where DARE was, and quite possibly DARE. You're talking about illegal activities. It's not illegal to go ahead and be on your cell phone.
Right.
Are there addictive personalities to the cell phone? Absolutely, and you'll find doctors that'll go ahead and say that. Do we prepare our parents and community for that? We do have nights that'll be theme nights that say, hey, know about your cell phone. Know what your students are doing on their cell phone. Here's what a social media app is. Here's how you go ahead and find out whether there's if there's an Instagram account. Is there a Finsta account, which the kids will say is their fake Instagram account. And so we should give them tools to go ahead and look for that, right? Location services, right? When all of a sudden a kid has their location services turned off and you're looking for a kid, that's good because you can find them. On the other hand, if it's for the public, for everybody to find out, how do you know that somebody with malicious intent is going to find them?
Right.
And so those are things that I think not all parents have been empowered to know because social media companies have gotten away with not teaching that.
Right.
So schools are having to fulfill a role of not only showing students how to do it, but how do I go ahead and help parents navigate this new digital landscape?
Right. How do you mentioned the kids not using their apps during class. How do you police that? Or is there a way you do that? Because kids on the phone passing period before class starts, stuff like that. Is there a way you police that where maybe like if they're connected, for example, and we were spitballing this in the newsroom, like if they're connected to the Wi-Fi here, the apps and maybe I'm giving you ideas, but the apps are just banned. You can't log into it, right? That's one. But then again, if they log out of Wi-Fi, they're normal. So like, how do you kind of navigate it?
Part of this is going to be do enough students recognize and understand, hey, you can turn on Do Not Disturb for 6 hours or until your class is over. Just like a college student, when they go in there, it's like, yeah, I'm in a lecture. I'm not going to go ahead and do this right now.
Right.
I'm working in career technical industry. It's like I can't look at my phone when all of a sudden I'm going to be operating heavy machinery.
Right.
So those are skills that I think that we haven't really emphasized that this is going to. The student pulls out their phone in the middle of class. Yeah, okay, you get a warning. That's what our first offense is, right? After that, it is going to go to the teacher, right? Because it's like, hey, we are trying to teach you the self-discipline to discipline yourself, right? If that doesn't work, then yes, we'll go ahead and it's going to go downstairs, and eventually a parent will pick it up, right? That is our last offense, and quite frankly, the response from our parent community has been very positive on it. They don't want their students to be away from their cell phone in case there is an emergency. but they do understand, okay, we support you in teaching these skills to our students. So research says it takes about 4 weeks. That's what schools throughout the nation that have gone to a rule similar, some are more restrictive than what freedoms are, and I'm aware of that as well. But I think we'll look at the data after 4 weeks and see how it's working. I do expect that it's going to improve our campus climate. I think it's going to improve academic rigor in class. I think it's going to create a safer campus. All of those things I think are going to come out. Now, we'll have to see. It hasn't happened until Monday. Right. But I expect that we're going to see positive results from it. And I think the kids will get behind it.